Welcome to the May 19th, 2020 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I almost fumbled the opening. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
Whew, a 9.5 out of 10. Not quite a 10 out of 10.
I don't know. I mean, I said my name. I nail it first try every time.
Ooh. But this is another great episode of Reactive. I know it's going to be great, because we're great, and you're great.
And they're great.
And their food. But it's from Family Guy. I can't teach you culture, Lotus.
Yeah.
Culture.
I don't watch Family Guy anymore. I am the one who is the uncultured swine.
I am the whiz.
Nobody eats me.
But yeah, we actually have some pretty exciting stuff here this week. Some pretty awesome stuff. But did you get a chance to see the PS5 graphical demo running?
No.
Okay. So, I mean, let's preface this first that Lotus Prince and I are above getting excited over graphics as a sell for a system.
I mean, my TV is cool. 1080. Like, I don't give a shit if it's 16K. Like, I can't see it at home.
Well, that's not even it. It was just like the photorealism.
Okay.
But the fact that the entire thing was supposedly running in real time. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
I mean, they always say or allude that they do, but who the hell knows?
No, they said it. They out and said it. But anyway, the Unreal team created and ran a demo that's supposedly running on PS5 hardware, and showed off a lot of real-time lighting effects, including there was some pretty neat stuff going on in this demo. I recommend you just at least take a look at it because it's not very long. It's not a whole lot of your time. It's just something to get you excited about the way games may look.
Well, yeah, emphasis on may. Like, remember the Order
exactly.
1886? And they're like, it was basically a tech demo for the PS4, and that was the last we saw that.
I mean, the good thing about this is that they were upfront in saying that what they were showing was specifically not a game.
That's the whole thing. Like, don't design a game around the cool shit you can do. Make a game that happens to have cool shit in it.
Yeah, it was a tech demo, for sure.
Tech demos are fine, but I don't expect every game to look all hyper-realistic and, oh my god, look at this amazing thing that was... you said it was in real time, but oftentimes is pre-rendered.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it had the potential for real time. I mean, I don't know whether it was certainly was a scripted thing. I don't know if people were but it was actually in an engine being rendered as it was happening. So
it makes me think of the Watch Dogs demo where everything looked like it was happening in real time, but at the same time, the guy demoing the game, this must have been his 30th time through. This is where I do this, and it happened. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool thing. I recommend at least looking at it because there's a lot of particle effects and a lot of lighting effects. Probably ray tracing in there that current systems cannot do.
Yeah. Speaking of particles, how many games really push that? Like Resogun and Ex Machina? Yeah, and that's it?
Knack.
And Killer Instinct on the Xbox? Okay.
No, I mean, there are plenty of games that have a lot of particle effects. It's just that you accept it as an organic part of the game now.
Okay.
So, I mean, you just don't... You don't even recognize it because it's so good.
Fair enough.
It's just one of those things. You're taking it for granted. If you go back to a PS3 game, and you can automatically recognize, when that sort of thing isn't being shown off. But I thought it was at least cool to see that kind of thing. I mean, it is propaganda. Keep your expectations in check, as it were, because they said stuff like current PC, high-end PC gaming rigs can't touch what the PS5 can do. That's just a straight-up lie. I mean,
I was going to say, I can't wait for people with their $3,000 computers to have to spend another $3,000 to catch up.
No, it's just a straight-up lie. I mean, it's going to be a high-end gaming device when it comes out. There's no doubt about it. However, the current gaming systems are going to have more computers, desktops are going to have processors that are outclass it.
Well, not to mention that computers evolve way the hell faster than consoles do, because consoles are standardized. With a computer, it's like, oh, this company made this new chip or motherboard or whatever, and you're like, oh, okay, and you could Frankenstein your computer. Whereas PlayStation 5, that's what it's going to be for the next 6-7 years, unless they do some pro bullshit again.
Yeah, they'll do an incremental update. You can guarantee that they'll do that within 3 or 4 years. But it at least was cool looking, and something to get people excited. One thing that they did that was cool was they had like the sun shining down on the character that they had in the game while the character was holding a light source as well. So you had competing bright light sources at different intensities.
That's clever.
Affecting the environment differently. So that was impressive to me, because I know that is not an easy feat. Doing something like that.
Well, yeah. Well, so, it's for that very reason. Like, I know I'm being like the asshole this entire podcast so far, but like it's just making me think of like
just the podcast
that works in a controlled environment. But if you're playing like Uncharted 5, is that gonna happen? Like, can you pull that off in a game that big and open?
I'm willing to bet in next gen they will.
Like if you're in like a cave or something, and I mean you're not gonna get the sun, but if there's 2 sources of light, then like But if you're just running around the desert like Uncharted 3, I don't know what you're gonna do.
It did seem like a reasonable possibility for a high end gaming rig to be able to pull that off. So I'm not disparaging that. It looked like a genuine effect.
It seems like one of those things that if you were playing it on PC, there would be like an option in the menu specifically for that. How they're like, do you want shadows on or off for like the older games? So it'd be like that. Do you want this light source thing to melt your computer if you're not quite ready for this yet? Yes or no?
I mean, as always, what's cool about this is you're gonna have a $500 system or thereabouts that can rival a $2,500 gaming PC.
Yeah.
Which that can't be overstated how good that is. They're believe it or not, $500 is gaming on a budget when it comes to this kind of stuff, and
it's easy too. You just buy it, and there's the console. You don't have to worry about doing research and choosing parts and possibly installing them yourself. Like, there's the box that says PS5. I'll take that one, please.
That's why I'm heavily leaning towards not being a PC gamer anymore, just because there was a big gulf there, and it was like a lot better to be a PC gamer for a while. But I think the gap has slowly cinched forward, and especially with the companies, Sony and Xbox, realizing that an incremental upgrade that's optional is a possibility. I think that's great. That wasn't a thing back with PS3 and Xbox 360.
Well, yeah, there was no PS3 Pro or anything.
Exactly.
You're just kind of waiting it out.
Yeah, and
anytime that's ever happened, longer because half the PS4's launch library was also launched on PS3.
Yeah, anytime it's happened before that, it's always like fragmented the user base and that kind of thing, and now it's just an optional upgrade, which is really, really good.
Well, yeah, that was my big fear. That never came to pass, fortunately. But my big fear was that there would be PS Pro exclusive games, but
there wasn't a single one.
Yeah, no, it was only some games that would say, "Oh, this'll run better on PS4 Pro," but that was it.
Which is fine. Yeah, which is fine.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really cool. Like I said, I'm pretty excited for this generation, but it's always been Lotus and my opinion that it's the games that make the consoles. So our judgment is we're going to reserve judgment until we find.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I like playing EDF, and that's a fucking low budget, stupid schlock game. Like, that's perfectly fine with me. That's all I want. Like, I know what I'm getting when I buy it. That's what I wanted. I don't need everything to be super AAA or like runs the system to its limits or whatever. Sometimes I just want some like Taco Bell equivalent of video games.
I should also clarify that the thing that wasn't possible that the PS5 and the Xbox is doing is the are their SSD tech. Their hard drive tech is brand new. It's something that you can't do in a PC quite yet. So, or at least like commercially, I'm sure there's theoretical stuff for
it's physically possible for someone to make something, yes, but you can't get it off the shelf.
You can't buy it at a Best Buy and shove it into your desktop right now. They have proprietary flash solid state drives now, so what they're doing there is truly revolutionary. So that is cool. Nothing on the PC can load that fast currently, and that's my layman take as well. So I'm sure there's something I'm not understanding, but that's what I've seen that they can do, that people that know better than me have explained.
Sure.
The other big news this week, and I'm sure most people have heard of this, most people of a certain age were excited about this.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 Remastered was announced, which
people
is really amazing.
People are about that. Because Tony Hawk 1 and 2 just killed. And I think people like Tony Hawk 3. I don't
3, I think, is like the last big awesome one.
Well, kind of. 4 was but it kind of came back with Tony Hawk Underground. People like Underground. But
people like Underground 1 and 2.
Yes. But Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 was just an embarrassment because wasn't
there's
the story...
American Wasteland in between that too.
I did forget American Wasteland. But wasn't the story with 5 that Activision needed to renew the rights, so they quickly made a game?
Yeah,
they're like, we gotta make a game now.
Is the definition of a game that was shat out. It was an unfinished game that got shipped without all the data. They had to finish it as it was being shipped.
It was the tutorial and possibly level 1.
Yeah.
So when you got the game, you had this gigantic update for it, but it wasn't an update. It was the game. So if you ever, I mean, God knows why, but in 30 years when PS3's network is down forever, if you buy a disc copy of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, you don't have shit. You have the tutorial and that's it. Maybe level 1. Too bad for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is really cool though because it looks like Tony Hawk himself was really excited to do this, and Tony Hawk is a really cool guy. You should follow him on Twitter.
His Twitter is great. He's super laid back. I don't know if he's still doing it, but there was a period where he's just talking about people who kind of recognize him, and he's just observing, you look kind of like Tony Hawk. It's yeah, well, and he just posted on Twitter. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's really funny, and his son is a pro skater now, and he's he's really great. But what's cool about this is we never really thought that this kind of thing would be back, especially with a combined game, which is really neat.
That's the thing. They did remaster Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1. I think it was exclusive to PC. I think it was jank though, and it's been taken down anyway, so I don't know if you can access it unless they release physical copies.
So there was also Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 HD, or at least 1 HD.
No, it was 1, but it featured some... Okay, Did you ever play No More Heroes 1 on PS3?
Oh, so it had some features from 2? Is that what you're saying?
It had some levels from 2. There was the school. It had a couple of levels from 2. So it's it's No More Heroes 1 for PS3. It's hey, here's some cameo fights from 2 as well. So it was a little bit of a hybrid, but it was mostly 1.
Yeah, so there was Pro Skater HD.
Yeah, that's the one. That's
what
the
it
one.
was. So you were right. So let's see here. It
says and the secret tape is now a secret DVD, which I thought was kind of funny.
It is a high definition remake featuring classic levels from 1, 2, and 3 for HD. So it didn't have all the levels from them, but it was kind of like a remix.
I didn't realize they had some from 3 though. That's kind of cool.
The big problem with this one, if I remember right, is that people complained that the controls didn't feel quite right. And just like a fighting game, like the controls and the way the game feels is like crucial.
Well, yeah, everything you're doing is doing tricks on like terrain. Like the game has to play properly.
It's basically like fighting game controls.
It's not like a
so,
third-person
yeah.
over-the-shoulder shooter where you run around. Like you need the aiming to be good, but the movement okay. But for Tony Hawk, the controls are everything.
So the new game, the remastered, has the entirety of 1 and 2 in it, which is amazing.
Does that include like the stupid guest character? Like 2 had like Spider-Man, didn't it?
They're not gonna have stuff like that. There's no way.
Which one had Shrek?
There's one of them had Darth Maul in it.
Yes.
I mean, come on, like there's no way that's gonna happen.
Well, you know what? You know what I do think is the most fascinating thing. Well, first I'll mention what's on the show notes. You wrote that most of the soundtrack will be there.
Yeah, so
the soundtrack is a huge part of these games.
They confirmed that there will only be 5 tracks not included, which is out of all of them, that's
that's still
great.
Kind of a shame, but like I'm impressed that they got what they got. Like because it was a whole eclectic assortment.
All the songs that you remember, like Superman and all that
Superman
other stuff.
Superman is level 1. You gotta have Superman.
Like gold, all the Goldfinger stuff, like that, all that's in there. But Suicidal Tendencies, Psychovision, Unsane's Committed, Anthrax, and Public Enemies Bring the Noise. That one's particularly good. That one's good. That's a shame that one's not in there. The High and Mighty B-Boy Document 99 and Alley Life Out with the Old. This is from Kotaku. Those are the only ones that are not included. All the rest of them are. So all the songs that that you really remember are going to be in there.
Superman hits you real hard because that's the first thing you do when you start the game. You're just in the warehouse, boom, it just kicks in.
Well, not only that, but like Tony Hawk even named his like autobiography like inspired by it. Is like trying to be a Superman.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So like it's indicative of the game. It's kind of like having Go Straight in Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think the collector's edition of this game comes with like an actual skateboard deck.
Oh, that's really cool. Another thing that they confirmed is that likenesses of the real people in this game are going to reflect their current appearances.
Yeah, they aged up the skaters, cool. Which I actually think is pretty brilliant.
Yeah, and it's also like... It's also being very respectful of the people that are in this game and made the originals happen. It's really cool. So I really think that's a really cool thing that they did. The game looks beautiful. It does not look like a PS1. It looks like a current. It like has beautiful lighting effects. It looks great. It looks like a current game. So hopefully it will just look like a current game and play like the old one.
Yes.
Because it looks good. Just watch the demo of this. I'm more impressed by this because it's an actual thing.
Yes.
Also it's like actual work that was done on something that I have reference for. Like I know that this is going to be in the final product, so it looks really, really nice. I'm super excited for this, and I was actually kind of thinking about getting like some of the old Tony Hawk games. So hopefully it controls well enough that I don't need to go back to an old one. I should also mention that was it Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2X for the original Xbox when that system was launched. That was a game that combined the first 2 games.
Oh, I never even heard of that. But then again, I know very little about the original Xbox.
You weren't around at the time. You weren't a fan or didn't own one at the time. But
well, that's the thing. Like I had a GameCube, and some of my friends did. My friends more likely owned PS2s, but none of us really touched the Xbox, like just by coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, back then, like. It was Halo fans and Sega fans that owned it, and I was both. So I mean, like I was a big fan of Halo when it had launched, and I was a big fan of Jet Set Radio Future. So that was there at launch. So and I also got Max Payne, which is quite awesome at the time. But anyway. Really cool stuff, especially since this is a big part of video game history. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 was a landmark title.
Oh, yeah.
There has been nothing before that even like touched, the like skateboarding genre in that way, and made it ubiquitous and made it fun to play for everybody.
Well, Tony Hawk Pro Skater clearly ripped off of Simpsons skateboarding.
Pro Evolution skateboarding from with featuring Solid Snake.
Really?
Yes.
Actually, you know what other skateboarding thing
there's
features...
a big shell level from Metal Gear Solid 2.
No, I was... Well, you know what else? You know where else there was a big shell level in Metal Gear Solid 2? In Metal Gear Solid 2, Subsistence, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't they have that? Like, I think like Metal Gear Solid 2
no, that was like a
it.
demo for that game. That was a demo for that game.
Weird.
Yeah, there's like some crossover of that.
Just like Ape Escape in 3, like, okay.
Well, that was less plausible because like Ape Escape was like a Sony product, like Pro
Monster
Evolution
Hunter
Escape
and Monster Hunter for Peace Walker.
That was improbable
too. Weird stuff going on.
Yeah, like somehow got Konami and Capcom to do a collaboration, and I've never seen that before or since.
Where you fight Gear Rex, not Metal Gear Rex, Gear Rex.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
But super excited about this. Hope it turns out well because Tony Hawk's a cool guy, and his games were like a defining part of a generation during that time. So and all that music was emblematic of what kids listened to at the time too. So and just playing it, it's kind of like playing Crazy Taxi without Offspring. It just doesn't work.
It does, but no, it really doesn't.
No. I mean, if you want to play Crazy Taxi, get the Steam version, and then there is a hack that they have posted in the discussion in order to put all of the Offspring back into it and all the other licensed tracks. So you do that, and you're gold. You have the best version of Crazy Taxi. It doesn't have Pizza Hut in it. But it's real close. It's HD, it's widescreen, it's good. Moving on from this. Speaking of crossovers and licensing stuff, this is one of the most bizarre licensing mashups that I've ever seen, probably since the WWE and Scooby-Doo.
I forgot about that.
WWE Superstars and the King of Fighters All-Star enter the King of Fighters All-Star mobile game, which is bizarre, especially considering that, like, I don't know what the crossover audience for that is. I mean, I am down.
I mean, there are a lot of wrestling fans who are into all sorts of video gaming stuff, but like King of Fighters just seems like a weird franchise.
King of Fighters is a very dedicated, crunchy fan base. People that are really into fighting games love King of Fighters. And people from way back when, and also Latin American countries love SNK. WWE,
Evo, they're all about that.
And like super fans in Japan love SNK. WWE fans have, I guess, a wide. There's all kinds of nerds that love WWE. So I mean, like, I can't say old man stomping, but
I was gonna say.
But I can't say that like there isn't some crossover. But it's just it's an odd mashup. I would never think, like, nobody was asking for it. Let's just put it that way. But this is their mobile fighting game. This is like an action fighting game on phones. So it's pretty awesome. From Thursday, June 4th, fans can collect and permanently add WWE superstars The Rock, John Cena, The Undertaker, who is retired, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, and Kofi Kingston to respective rosters in the action-packed mobile fighting game. That's insane. The Rock isn't even a main wrestler anymore.
I know, he's like movie star Dwayne Johnson now.
Yeah, and so's John Cena. Well, John Cena is in and out,
Yeah, he was in the latest not live WrestleMania where he did a skit fight against the goddamn Bray Wyatt. There we go, the Fiend.
Yeah, but he's not a regular wrestler. He's not somebody who does like every show. You know what I mean? He's not like Kofi Kingston is probably the only one that like is active out of all of those. Seth Rollins, and Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is of course a huge superstar right now, but it's just mind-boggling and goofy and awesome. So there are WWE themed mini dungeons. Kofi Kingston is obtainable by gathering rewards from Rush Event Dungeon.
This sounds absurd.
This is WWE themed roulette. Players can get John Cena via this. Just
it was
like,
weird enough doing that with like New Japan Wrestling and Yakuza. It's like you got real life New Japan Wrestling players. But
but that makes more sense to me. If they did this with New Japan Pro Wrestling, that would make way more sense to me.
I wonder if Japanese people feel the same way I did when playing Yakuza. Like, oh, look at these foreign wrestlers I can get.
Well, the thing is, it's a little bit different over there because, like, they consume American culture way more than we consume, like, everyday Japanese culture.
Yeah, fair enough.
So like WWE is something that they know. They know these characters because they're in movies. You know, like
like Doom.
Rock is come on. Dwayne Johnson is like a legitimate like actor at this point.
Yeah, he's in the Fast and the Furious movies, which I know you just said legitimate actor. Those movies are fucking schlock, but they're purposeful schlock and they're
but they're fun. Like
Jumanji, the Rundown.
Like, like he's been in tons of like good and bad movies.
He was
but
in a
like
fucking Disney movie. He was in Moana.
Yeah, That's true. He's been in a ton of good. I mean, like The Informant. That was fun.
I haven't seen that one.
Not The Informant. Central Intelligence, I think, is the one that he was with.
Still haven't seen it.
Was Kevin Hart.
Okay.
So, but he's been in a few with Kevin Hart. Like both Jumanji movies he's been in with him. So, anyway, cool stuff. I just don't know what to make of it.
Yeah.
And of course it's on mobile, so I would have preferred if it was like if this was on console, I would have snatched that up.
Yeah, just for the bizarre nature of it.
Yeah, plus it's like something that'll go away eventually, the licensing thing. So, moving on from that, even though Nintendo canceled their Direct, they still had a really major announcement this week.
Yeah.
Paper Mario: The Origami King was announced. I don't take
the Origami Killer from Heavy Rain. The David
you saw my
Cage
my
game?
post, right? on the group chat.
Maybe.
Oh, well, it was the cover of Heavy Rain, but with the logo of Paper
Instead
Mario.
Of Sean, it's like Peach. It's just like a press X to Peach.
But anyway, this looks really neat because they're mixing up the graphical style of the Paper Mario games. Of course, like Paper Mario looks like himself, but it looks like Peach has turned into an origami style, form, and a lot of the other like environments in the game look like they are origami now, which is really neat.
That implies 3 dimensions, because the whole gimmick with Paper Mario was that it was 2 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
Although in the new Paper Mario, or what was it called, Super Paper Mario, you could like flip 90 degrees, like the world is 3D, but you can only move
that
in
was
a 2D
in Super
direction.
Paper Mario.
But origami
on the
just
Wii
implies...
one, the quote-unquote new one.
Well, yeah, but the origami implies 3D, even though what makes you up is, I mean, paper isn't 2D in real life, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it looks cool. Of course, there are some people just like bitching about it because their favorite was the GameCube and they're never letting it go.
Well, no, it's not that. Like from what I've heard, Sticker Star and Color Splash just weren't very good.
Yeah, I mean,
like the last 2 Paper Mario games were bombs, so it's like, so like we'll have to wait and see. The
one that they did with Mario and Luigi was pretty good. I enjoyed that.
What, like the Mario and Luigi games?
There was a Mario and Luigi Paper Mario crossover game.
Okay.
For the 3DS. But yeah, it looks fun to me. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Paper Mario games. We'll see whether they've tended to go experimental with these games. That's why people don't like them as much. But that doesn't mean they're not good. It just means that they're not what they're expecting, I think. There were some questionable things about maybe the Sticker Star.
Yeah.
But the other ones were pretty fun, I thought. But anyway, with my limited playing of them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mainly familiar with 1 and 2 and the reviews of Sticker Star.
Yeah, exactly. But really cool stuff, and always looking forward to that. In the same breath, Nintendo also made another major announcement. They said that they are adding 4 new games to the NES and SNES apps on the Switch, which was a welcome surprise. Actually, all 4 games are actually really good. So for the NES, they're adding Rygar, which is
Rygar is okay, but it's interesting.
Yeah, and it's also a lot better than the arcade version of Rygar. Like, the NES version is unique and fun.
And there's also a PS2 game. Like, I can't
that was
believe
later.
that they, like, made another Rygar of all games in the world. Like,
Yeah.
It's back. Rygar. Remember this? I guess.
Yeah, and it's pretty similar to God of War at the time.
Kind of. Yeah. You still have your, like... Well, yeah, your basic weapon is kind of like Kratos' basic weapon, because they're like... It's that, like, extendo blade.
Yeah. Well, it's like a shield yo-yo kind of thing. Yeah. But it's a fun game, and it has some kind of some light, like, Metroidvania elements as well, so that makes it interesting. The SNES games are all really good. One that's kind of an unsung hero here is Operation Logic Bomb. This game is a lot of fun. It's like a top-down game that is a lot of fun. It's an action game. There were 2 other games in this series. I think is something like Forgotten Fortress or something like that on the Game Boy that were also pretty fun in that series. But the next one, it was actually a pretty big surprise. They are putting Panel de Pon on there. So for the people that don't know, this is the Japanese version of Tetris Attack. Presumably because they would need to get the Tetris license in order to publish like the actual Tetris Attack. But the Tetris Attack had Yoshi characters in it, and Panel de Pon had like magical girls in it in its original form, and that's what's coming over. Panel de Pon is also known as Puzzle League in the United States. So like there was a DS game called Puzzle League, and there was also Pokemon Puzzle League.
Yeah, that's the main one I remember is Pokemon Puzzle League.
Yeah, so there have been different versions of this game in the United States before. It's just not on this name.
Yeah.
There is a particularly really good version of it on the GameCube. That's like 4-player and everything. That one's really good. But this is great. I mean, Tetris Attack or Panel de Pon is one of the best puzzle games on the Super Nintendo. It's a lot of fun. It's up there with it's as good as Puyo or Tetris. It's up there. I mean, it's not better than Tetris, but what is?
Like Tetris is untouchable.
Yeah, but it's up there in the best competitive puzzle games out there. It's up there. It's really good. It's kind of like a match 3 kind of thing, kind of like Bejeweled. Bejeweled kind of copied its formula. But going on from that, this is an interesting choice, and it's cool that it's there, but I'm not like going to be interested because
I was like, if this had come out a few years ago, it would have been insane, but now it feels largely redundant.
So they're putting the SNES version of Wild Guns on there, and
that's cool because the real thing is like hundreds of dollars, but at this point there's
been remade.
There's a remake for it on PS4 and I think Switch anyway.
Yes,
and it has more characters. It's just like it's better.
It's the same but better.
So the SNES version, I guess if you really are into that preservation of this specific version of the game, it's okay, but at this point it's inferior.
Yeah, the new version of the game, just like the Ninja Warriors remake.
Yeah, the Ninja Warriors, Ninja Saviors. Yeah, that game has 2 more characters, playable characters now. They're unlockable.
It's in widescreen. They made the bosses look cooler. I mean, there's a number of enhancements. It's not just like they threw the game together. They like
Yeah, they did it
completely
right.
redid some of the stuff. Yeah, all the animations and all that stuff. So, it's a great game. If you want to play that, play the remake. The remake is just phenomenal.
Yeah, you may as well.
Yeah. Moving on from that, Sega Ages Thunderforce AC came out. This is the arcade version of Thunderforce 3. Came out in Japan, I think, this week, and it's coming out Friday in Western territories. Again, I'm always excited for Sega Ages releases, but Thunder Force particularly is exciting to me because I'm a big shmup fan, and also this was a game that I played on the Genesis back in the day, and I love the Thunder Force series. So some of the best Genesis music comes from the Thunder Force series. So I'm excited that this is getting its due. There hasn't been a really, really good port of the arcade version since the Saturn. So,
Wow.
there was a lackluster port to the Super Nintendo. So the arcade version doesn't really get as much love as 3 and 4 themselves. So this is really cool. Moving on from that, I kind of wanted to bring this up because it's a little late on this subject, but there's some more information on it, at least. You can actually take this one, Lotus, because you know quite a bit about this one.
Well, sure, yeah. A while ago, Limited Run Games announced that they would be doing a release for Streets of Rage 4, and everybody was already hyped for Streets of Rage 4, so, oh, cool, it's getting a physical. I'm not too surprised, but I'm happy that it's happening. But then it turned out that Streets of Rage 4 was getting released not only by multiple physical limited production companies, but also just straight up retail, like on Amazon and things like that. So people got bothered. They're like, oh man, because Limited Run announced and did pre-orders way before everybody else. So everybody jumped on the Limited Run game bandwagon, and then everybody else also announced releases for games for the same thing. And people got mad, especially because in Japan there's also a version with like a soundtrack CD and everything. So people were getting all mad, and normally you can't cancel a limited run order. They did say when they were releasing like the super duper collector's version of Streets of Rage 4, which they announced after the standard, they were like, well, you could cancel the standard if you order this one. But at this point, enough people got mad that they were like, fuck it, you could cancel orders if you want. But one thing that was kind of cool is I think they made an announcement that their version would now also come with, I don't think a full soundtrack, but like a 15-track sampler.
It's like a remix soundtrack, which is actually pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, and like I'm one of the people who pre-ordered the game, so I'm
Me
getting
too.
more than I bargained for, so I'm pretty happy about that. But like, I mean, Vice, you've pointed this out to me off the mic, but this is not the first time a limited run game has been released by somebody else. Like Wonder Boy and the Dragon's Trap was released on Play Asia, for example. But the thing with this is they announced that they'd be the ones to release it, and they were. But then, like, weeks later, this company's doing it, Japan retail's doing it. That's happened sometimes. But, like, we're not in Japan, so... But then Amazon's doing it. It's just straight up mainstream release where people are like, what? So there's a lot of outrage over that.
Well, it should also be mentioned that, like, if you've been following Limited Run for a long time, that they have stated in their like manifesto of what their philosophy is that they won't do first of all, they won't do a second run of things. Like they understand the limited availability is part of the appeal. But the second thing is they do not lock their games to exclusive deals with them. So they can feel like any company that feels like they can sell more physical copies of a game can feel free to go with another company.
Yeah, and that has happened before, but this was just a surprise because it's just straight up retail. There's nothing limited about the physical release.
See, the thing is, it's hard for me to get mad at all about Limited Run doing this.
The fact that a physical game is more available should be a positive thing, but I think what people got mad about was that Limited Run announced that they were doing it first, and everybody jumped on them, and then realized that there were more options that nobody knew about.
Well, but I don't think that's Limited Run's fault.
No, it's not, because they didn't know. Like,
yeah.
and they've pointed that out multiple times. It just like looks bad from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, and how would they? Well, like, why would anybody go? And we're also doing this, and we're also doing that. Like, if you're gonna be mad at somebody, be mad at Sega because like that Sega's the one that hoard out the publishing rights to everybody under the sun. Having said all of that, Limited Run does a really good job, and typically I would say that if like especially with like Wonder Boy, like Limited Runs is much more appealing aesthetically. And they also are doing all kinds of little extra stuff. I mean, like
they often throw a bunch of little stuff in. I mean, for their collector's edition is huge,
it's insane,
and expensive. The standard edition is just game in box, whereas like a different company had the soundtrack CD as well. So like compare contrast. Oftentimes, limited run games is better. Not every time. Whatever, just make your choice. But they're what is it? Their support, though. If you ever have to contact support, they're very good.
Yeah, and another thing, they are big into the hobby themselves. Like they love this stuff. So
if you follow the people from limited run games, like if you follow their personal Twitter accounts, that's most of what they post. I mean,
like,
not their
nerds.
Business stuff. Like I bought some more games today or whatever.
Yeah, apparently they have like a gigantic like library in there just for preservation purposes. Like they have like a lot of games from previous systems just for that. But what I was going to say is one of the things that Limited Run is doing with their edition is like they're doing like an outer box that looks like a Genesis.
They've done that a couple times. Cool. They did that for as an option for Toe Jam and Earl as well.
Yeah, and they did Saturn style boxes and Sega CD style boxes. Not only that, but also Battle Garega.
I think did they do that for Double Switch as well? The Sega CD style? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And Night Trap. So
I don't remember that for Night Trap. They had a collector's for Night Trap, but I don't remember if that had the Sega CD box. Did it?
Yes, that was the first one that did, I think.
Okay.
So you are getting your money's worth. It's just you didn't know about your options, which isn't their fault. So if you're gonna get mad, just get mad at the situation.
That's the thing. Like the main thing to get mad about is that you can't cancel their order now that other options are available. Except in this particular case, I think you can cancel your order. So problem solved.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also for the people that got the super expensive edition, they're also handing out free digital codes so you can play the game in the meantime while the thing's being printed.
Yeah, it'll take a while for the big editions to come out.
Yeah. So I mean that was also part of the controversy is like the game's out now. So
yeah, usually they do physical copies of games that have existed for a while. Like you can play the game anytime you want, but if you want a physical copy, now's your chance. But this is a pre-order of a physical game that's not going to come out for weeks until after the game comes out.
Look, I am a gigantic Streets of Rage fan. It was one of the games of my childhood. It was a foundational game.
Yeah, same.
I absolutely love it. I have Yuzo Koshiro's signature on a copy of Bare Knuckle 2, which is Streets of Rage 2.
And I've got a signature on a copy of Streets of Rage 2.
And I have it on Etrian Odyssey as well.
Ooh, very nice.
But believe me, I have all three soundtracks on vinyl. I want to play this game, but I have kind of walled myself up, in order to wait for it, my copy to arrive.
I'm waiting for the copy, yeah.
But
I look forward to streaming it.
I'm that's just a testament to how big of a fan is. Like, I want the best experience of taking this all in. So, it stinks that I don't have it right now. I will admit, but I'm not mad at Limited Run at all. So that's just the silver
it's not on
lining.
them. It just appears to be on them.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of stinks that there's a lot of internet drama stupidity going on and like a lot of butthurt nonsense going on. So I have to point that out. Also wanted to do a couple quick Mr. updates here. This is the FPGA system that is gaining a lot of traction. It just got PC Engine CD support, which is amazing. Big step forward. Apparently, the PC Engine or TurboGrafx core is one of the best replications out there of any system. So it can play 100% of the PC Engine library now, which is like amazing. Really, really cool stuff. So you can play your Rondo of Blood, your Dracula X Rondo of Blood, with cycle accuracy and all that jazz. So just as if you were playing it on an actual system, but without any of the hangups of original hardware or the volatility of having to find a disc without disc rot and all that jazz.
Yeah.
These days. So I am super excited. I have a Mister. I just haven't put it together. I recently just got the last component because I was waiting a while for it. There is something called a blister, which is a what it is there are different boards that you could buy for this thing while you're putting it together. It's like kind of a self-serve kind of deal, and you could have just like a regular USB hub on the bottom, so you could have 4 controllers. It has 4 USBs, or you could get something called a blister, which uses these Bliss box adapters, which will allow you to use low latency connections with original controllers, so that it has like virtually no lag. So I was waiting on that one piece to be delivered so I could put it together. I finally got it, so I'll be putting it together probably next weekend. So I'm super happy about that. And somebody has made some major strides in a PlayStation 1 Mr. Core. It's probably years off, they said, maybe 1 or 2 years off from being put out, but I mean that's insane. We have all kinds of different systems. Where this thing really shines is a lot of the old computer platforms, like Amiga's on there. Commodore 64, all of those things are on there. X68000, which is a really cool, like really nerdy Japanese computer system to get into. Also the MSX. So like any of those systems that we missed out on that have had really cool Japanese releases are on this thing already. But this is really cool. I was just waiting for it to catch up to like the 32-bit generation, because the 32-bit generation's where it I think would probably be at its limit with what it could do. But I'm excited nonetheless. Also had a couple ROM hacks out there. So I had mentioned, I think it was last episode, Ganbare Goemon 2 for the Famicom got the fan translation.
Yeah.
So the remaining Famicom game, Ganbare Goemon Gaiden, Kieto Oigan Kisero, I'm sure I...
Yeah, Ogon. Otherwise,
Ogon.
Otherwise sounds good. Yeah, Kisero.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
This is the third game, and also introduces like a lot of the side characters that get put into the series later.
Oh, like the princess and Ebisumaru.
Yeah.
Sasuke.
I think Ebisumaru was already in this series, but everybody else got added.
Okay.
Like the princess and everything, I think got added in this game. And this is more of a RPG, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. But this means that the only 16-bit, 8-bit game that hasn't been translated is the fourth game on Super Nintendo. So everything up to and including the third game is officially translated, which is great. I mean, it was certainly a big gap in the Konami library that we didn't have access to for a really long time. So once the fourth game gets done, which is arguably probably the best game in the entire series, this will be great. I mean, we've had the N64 games forever. So, this will be a really great complement to all that stuff. I'm really super jazzed. And I just threw this in there because it's kind of goofy, but somebody did a color a dinosaur hack that makes it all Ninja Gaiden.
It's so bizarre.
So it apparently takes scenes from like, you know, the cutscenes from the NES Ninja Gaiden, and you can color them in.
That's amazing.
I just had to mention that because it's so funny. It's also Tommy Tallarico did the soundtrack for that game. And on a much more somber note, I'm not making light of this at all, but Fred Willard passed away, comedy legend Fred Willard. Unfortunately passed away this weekend. He had a good long life, not disparaging that. He passed away at 86, I think, which is good long life, but he is certainly a treasure. Worked basically up until the day he died. He was on Modern Family, and tons of other stuff. He was having some trouble once his wife passed away, and unfortunately he passed over the weekend. Super sad to see him go because he's one of those people that when you see him you laugh. Like they are just so funny on their own without needing to say anything, and their mannerisms and the way that they deliver a joke is incredibly unique. It's kind of like Zach Galifianakis is like one of those people. It's just he was a comedy legend. Everything he did was hilarious. He was so funny that they just put him as a non-animated character in WALL-E. You were mentioning that.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing, because humans are in WALL-E, but they look like Pixar characters, and then you just have Fred Willard.
Like live action
it's
Fred
just
Willard.
The guy.
But I absolutely loved him. I mean, his work. If you're not familiar with it, go see him in Best in Show.
I love Best in
is
Show.
Probably his shining moment.
Yeah, he's one of the announcers.
He's
at
the
dog
announcer
show
that you care about.
Well, no, but it's funny because he has the straight man with him. That's why he works so well.
Yeah.
And the straight, the thing is, Fred Willard just talks about, like, he gets a little off topic, or he gets into like weird subjects about the dogs, and the straight man is just trying to like course correct. He's trying to steer it back. Like one of my favorite bits in that whole thing was they're talking about the dogs and whatever, and Fred Willard just abruptly just brings everything to a screeching halt. He's just like, oh, look, I'm sorry that this may be a little off topic, I know, but I just have to ask, how much do you think I could deadlift? And it's like, what the fuck? It's like, I don't know. And this is like during the dog show. Like, why are you doing this? It's so good.
He played a similar character in the spiritual successor Mighty Wind. After that,
and he also had a bit part that wasn't really funny. He was just kind of there in Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
He was one of the
so he's in all
the guys
three
at
movies.
the Air Force Base, but like he wasn't funny in that. He was just in the movie. But Best in Show, he freaking knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, once he was in Best in Show, he really saw a resurgence of sorts. Because like from then on, he was in tons of television commercials, films.
And one thing I was going to mention that's just stupid is he was in a bit part in a Tim and Eric sketch. Did you ever see the Tim and Eric sketch for the one of the companies they've invented?
Oh, the Cinco.
Yeah, the Cinco.
Oh, the
Cinco phone.
Yeah, he was the concierge, right? The Cinco concierge.
Yeah, he was the operator guy.
Yeah.
Because like with the Cinco phone, you could just dial this number and you'll be able to find any answer you want, like kind of like Google.
He's getting all stressed out because he has so
there's
many
like
requests.
10 phones in his room. What? Hello? You want to know where this one mall is? Okay, hang on 1 second. Another phone. Hello. It's like the worst. He's like the one guy who has to do this. He's just getting inundated with questions that he can't answer on time. His job sucks.
What's funny to me about that is that, like, this is what they showed to advertise this thing.
Yeah. Well, no, what was kind of funny was I was showing, this is years ago, but I was showing Mr. Ryu This Is Spinal Tap because he hadn't seen the movie.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
And I didn't realize at the time that Fred Willard was in it. So when we got to that scene, I was like, "Oh, it's Fred Willard," and he was like, "Who's that?" And I was trying to find like a point of reference for him because I don't know what he's
Wally's
seen.
probably it. Yeah.
Well, no, I mentioned like the Cinco phone commercial. He's like, "Oh yeah, that that's what he knows it from."
That's what he knows it.
Yeah, oh yeah, Cinco phone. That 5-minute sketch on that one episode of a TV show that I recognize.
But yeah, he's like one of those like people that is just so funny and unique, and it's sad to see him go because he was just so funny and great. But a real big shame, and just definitely celebrate his life by looking back at some of the stuff that we mentioned, especially Best in Show. Best in Shows is like if you want to watch something that exemplifies why people love him, that's it.
He's like, it's great because he acts like a troll, but he isn't one. He's just
dumb.
Yeah, he's just being annoying incidentally.
He's just
I just can't get over that. Just like real quick, how much do you think I could deadlift? Like, are you kidding me? It's like the funniest thing.
Just a weird person.
Yeah.
Do you have any other mentions for this week here, Lotus? As we get to the close of the show here.
One thing I'll mention that's just kind of incidental is that EVO, the fighting game competition, is going to happen, but of course, because of current circumstances, is going to be online only, which means that Smash Brothers is not there because Nintendo doesn't know how to do online. But the funny thing is, there's this one, like, My Little Pony
Couldn't they just do
game.
friend codes or something and make it happen that way?
Maybe. Whatever the case, is not there.
The game is online.
Yeah. Well, I know it's online, but like Nintendo's online is spotty.
Yeah.
But there's this My Little Pony fighting game, which multiple people have told me is actually legitimately good.
Fighting Herds?
Yeah, Them's Fighting Herds, which is a pretty clever title. It just cracks me up that like something like that's gonna be there, and like Smash isn't at all in any capacity.
The big omission is actually Skullgirls. Like that was the one that like everybody was like, "What the fuck? Like you still don't have Skullgirls?"
That is bizarre. Although it's getting a little older at this point, but that's still weird. I mean, then again,
Fighting Herds over Skullgirls though. Like,
well, not only that. As I said, it's getting older. I remember that Melee had been there for years. Like anybody, I mean, obviously people do give a shit, but like I'll still say it anyway. Like anybody gives a shit. The game's like 15 years old.
Is Samurai Showdown in the lineup?
I think
it was last year.
I think it is. It is. And Tekken 7 is back.
Okay.
Still no DOA 6 after the snafu last year.
What the way that they were advertising it?
They basically just sabotaged themselves completely.
Yeah.
But Tekken 7 is back. I think Killer Instinct is still there. I forgot. Under Night in Birth, I think might be. I forgot what the lineup is. I'm going off the top of my head at this point, so I might be flaking on some of this stuff, but I think that's what's going on. Are they doing Guilty Gear? I don't remember if they're doing Guilty Gear.
I don't know. It's hard to keep track of Arc Systems games.
No kidding.
So it's Dragon Ball Fighters.
Okay, that makes sense.
Grand Blue Fantasy, which
that's the one I forgot. Yeah, Grand Blue, the mobile game, I guess has a fighting game.
That's an Arc Sys game, I think, too, right?
I don't know. I didn't realize that Grand Blue had a fighting game in any capacity until like 2 days ago or something.
Samurai Showdown, which we mentioned. Soul Calibur 6.
Oh, that makes sense.
Let me see here. Street Fighter 5, of course. That's the headliner.
Yeah, still bringing it. That's the big finale, probably.
Tekken 7 and Under Night in Birth.
Yeah, in Birth. I mentioned those,
whatever the fuck.
Under Night in Birth has been around, but it just is so weird to me every time I hear it. Like it's one of the games that
it's a descendant of Melty Blood, isn't it?
I think it might be. It's one of those games. You know that one game, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle? That's like a 4-way crossover. Like Blaze Blue, Persona, Ruby, and the other one is Under Night in Birth. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, what is this? Yeah. So it is one of the Melty Blood games, yes. Okay.
I still wish, I mean, at this point it's getting too dated. I wanted to say Virtua Fighter 5. Make a Virtua Fighter 6 and bring it to EVO. Sega, get on it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is Arc System Works has what 3 games here?
I mean, ArcSys, they really go all out with the fighting games. You know what I want to do? I want to see them bring in their Fist of the North Star fighting game, even though that game's broken as shit and has like infinite combos. I just want to see it.
Yeah, let me see something. Grand Blue Fantasy, Grand Blue Fantasy, Jesus, is an Arc Systems
Okay,
game.
I had no
So
idea.
yeah,
You know what they need to bring back is Guilty Gear 1 for the PS1.
with Doctor
Dr. Baldhead.
Baldhead.
They never
Yeah.
brought back Dr. Baldhead. It's always Goofy Faust. I like Faust, but I kind of want to see just fucked up Dr. Baldhead again.
So Evo Online will also feature open tournaments for the following. So you
Yeah.
didn't. This is the open tournament. These are ones you don't need to qualify for.
Yeah.
Killer Instinct, Mortal
Oh, that
Kombat
was what that
11,
was.
which is
Okay.
a big omission. Oh, Skullgirls. There we go. So that's for the open one, and them's fighting herds. Okay. So Skullgirls is in there. It's just
Yeah,
in
kind
the
of,
the
yeah.
less respected category. Gotcha. But yeah, Arxis is dominating this. It's
Yeah.
crazy, especially for like a company that is a lot smaller than like like when
Yeah,
you
than
think
Capcom.
of fighting games, you think of SNK, Capcom, Namco. Namco has 2 games. I mean, granted.
And SNK has what? One? The Samurai Showdown?
Yeah, I mean, but SNK only recently made a resurgence with the King of Fighters game that they had last time around was 14, and Samurai Showdown. So that's understandable. But like one Capcom game versus 3 Arc Systems
When is
games.
SNK going to release Art of Fighting 4?
Yeah, I don't.
Make it happen, SNK.
Well, let's get another Darkstalkers game in there, man.
Well, that actually, like... No, that's Capcom, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Darkstalkers hasn't existed since, like, the PS1. It's a damn shame.
Yeah.
Anything that's
Darkstalkers
come
3.
out since then has been, like a re-release instead of, like, a new Darkstalkers game. Like, it's on PSN, I think, but it's not a new Darkstalkers.
I think they were using like Morgan's sprite from Darkstalkers 1 up until like MVC 2.
Oh, no, yeah, I was going to mention MVC2 specifically, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, because, like, a lot of characters look like they were designed for that game, like Terry.
And hers does not.
Yeah, Morgan's looks like shit. It's like, really?
Well, no, that's Capcom versus SNK 2, not MVC 2.
What did I say? Oh, I said Marvel vs. Capcom. Yeah, sorry. Capcom versus SNK 2. Yeah, it had Terry look like he belonged in the game. Geese looked like he belonged in the game. Morgan looked fucking terrible.
Maki looked like he belonged to.
Maki, yeah, of all
She was an original, basically
remember
an original
Maki?
sprite for that. Yeah. All right, well, that will be the show for this week, unless you have anything else to derail my outro.
Oh, no, sorry. Nah, I think I'm good.
Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Please, it helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. We're going to have another one of our profile episodes on the Mortal Kombat series. So please stay tuned for that. We've been having a lot of fun doing our profiles lately that we've been doing. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, that's it. If you are interested in seeing them early, period. It's a fragmented sentence. I'm good. If you're interested in seeing my videos early,
Full stop.
I was thinking of something to say, and then I was like, I could say it later, and then I lost track of where I was. So if you're interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, this is where I was going. You could see this early, and like I've been working on the letter for a while, so you could see episodes of that
letter?
early. And I've, as far as seeing things early, I've recently started uploading Man of Medan, which I've been playing with Mr. Ryu.
Oh, yeah.
So that
Good one.
game is rad. And finally, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, that's the thing I last said. And finally, getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord. Please consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince. That exit was just as flawless as my intro.
Lotus, 9.5 out of 10.
That's way better than I deserve.
We have a whole nother episode to record. I hope you're okay. I hope you're okay.
I forgot everything I knew about Mortal Kombat. This is not good.
That's the series from Japan, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, we will catch everybody on Thursday. See you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.